The great thing about telling someone that you're going to start running after 50, apart from the face that they will make, is that suddenly everyone becomes a medical expert and they start saying things like, oh, isn't that bad for your joints? And oh, won't that cause you knee pain? When actually, if everyone over the age of 50 or anyone who is suffering with knee pain started running regularly, they would have more energy, they would have less pain, they would feel a lot younger, they would feel stronger, and they would prevent a lot of diseases in the long term and have a greater longevity in life. And the science shows us just how simple and effective it can really be. Hi, my name is Paul Carson, pain therapist, and welcome to my summer kitchen here on the island of Sicily. And in today's video, I am going to share with you why running is not just one of the safest exercises, but one of the best exercises you can do for your body and your brain. As a beginner and someone who is over the age of 50 and or suffering from some sort of knee pain. We are going to dismantle those old myths that running is dangerous for our joints, especially as we age, and I am going to show you the best way to get started safely today. Before we dive into the solution, we first need to talk about the real problem here, the real threat to our mobility and our mental clarity. And it is not the impact of running on our joints, it is the crushing impact of inactivity. Let's talk about some of the fears that you might be having. That fear and feeling of decline, noticing that the stairs start to become a little more challenging, a fear of losing our independence, and a fear that our bodies won't keep up with our minds anymore. This isn't just a feeling. This is a reality of the modern world we live in, and the fact is we sit too much. And the irony is, the thing that we are doing to protect our joints, i.e. avoiding impact, is actually making things worse. And the science is becoming very clear on this. In fact, there was a huge meta-analysis which had over 100,000 participants in it. And they looked at the impact of recreational running versus being sedentary, which means sitting more. The people who were recreational runners had a significantly lower chance of developing hip and knee osteoarthritis compared to those who were classed as sedentary and protecting their joints. In fact, the prevalence was as low as 3% in the recreational runners and as high as 10% in the sedentary population. This means that the people who were running had healthier and happier joints compared to those who were just sitting down, protecting them. This means the problem we need to solve isn't how do we avoid our joints wearing down, but in fact, how do we combat the decay of our joints from sitting down too much? The question changes completely. It's no longer, am I too old to start running? Now it's actually, can I afford not to run? So we flipped the script. The enemy is inactivity and the hero is running. Not grueling, painful running, but consistent and gradual running that gives us life, that gives us energy, that builds our joints, makes us feel stronger, and lets us live longer. It's a powerful tool to rebuild our energy and recharge our brains. So we're going to tackle the biggest myth, that running is bad for our joints and our joint health. The science says the opposite. It tells us that running regularly actually strengthens our joints and reduces the chances of getting pain. Just think of the phrase, motion is lotion. Your joints have synovial fluid, which is like your body's natural lubricant or WD-40 for a car or a machine. When you run or when you move, this fluid is circulating throughout your joints, allowing for movement and vitality and flexibility. When you're sitting down, this fluid is stagnant and it doesn't help to do anything. And as we age, this is one of the big reasons that the cartilage in our joints begins to degenerate. Plus, a very interesting study showed that people who run actually reduce inflammation in their joints. What they did was they measured the inflammatory markers in people's bodies in the knee before a run and after a run. They were looking for spikes or dips in the pro-inflammatory chemicals. The people went on a 30-minute run, and then when they came back, they were remeasured to see if there was any change. And in fact, two of the major pro-inflammatory chemicals that are associated with knee osteoarthritis actually went down significantly after running, What that means is by going for a run, you reduce the inflammation in your knee joint and you reduce the breakdown of cartilage. Basically suggesting that running appears to create an anti-inflammatory environment for our body. The impact of 1 foot on the ground at a time also signals your body to get stronger. It helps to build and maintain bone density, which is very important for weighing off the impacts of osteoporosis as we age. The key here is that this applies to recreational runners, people who run several kilometers a few times per week. When it comes to elite and professional runners who have been running their whole life and ranking up huge amounts of kilometers, they seem to run too much and actually increase the chances of us as they age. But for anyone who just wants to do recreational running, it is an extremely powerful tool for joint preservation, for joint health, but not joint destruction. And if a younger, healthier, more resilient body is not enough, how about a sharper mind? The mental benefits of running are astounding. It is one of the most beneficial things that you can do for your brain health in the long term. When you run, your brain releases powerful chemicals. You may have heard of endorphins, but have you heard of an extremely powerful protein called brain-derived neurotrophic factor, or BDNF? Sometimes this can be referred to as miracle growth for the brain. This amazing protein supports your existing neurons, but also helps to create new ones within your brain. And it also helps to create new connections within your brain in a process that we call neurogenesis. This is the physical basis of all learning and all memory. And normally, as we age, we have less neurons and less neuroplasticity and less connections. But studies show that the aerobic exercises like running rapidly release this chemical, which helps to boost our brain activity. And we also see an increased level in the activity in our hippocampus, which is our brain's memory center. What does this mean for you? This means a better memory, sharper focus, and improved ability to plan, and building a brain that is more resilient to the effects of aging. So running makes our joints healthier and our minds stronger, but it also adds years to our life and life to our years. The research here is amazing. A major meta-analysis of over 200,000 people discovered that recreational runners had a 27% lower risk of all-cause mortality compared to those who do not run. They also had a 30% less chance of having death from cardiovascular disease and an over 30% less chance of death from cancer. This is because running strengthens your heart. It improves your lung capacity. It helps to regulate your blood sugar and reduces chronic inflammation throughout your body. And you don't have to run marathons. Most health organizations recommend around 75 minutes of aerobic exercise per week. The research is clear and simple. Even running as little as 50 minutes a week can help reduce your chances of an early and unexpected death. If you're finding this helpful and you're starting to think that running might be something that you want to do, hit that subscribe button. My goal with this channel is to provide simple, science-backed guidance on how to live a happier, healthier, and more vibrant life. So if you want to be part of this community, also click the link in the description to get my simple health poster, which tells you exactly what you should be eating and how you should be exercising to extend the quality of your life. Okay, so now you're on board with the why you should run. Let's talk about the how, because that can often be the most intimidating part. This is my 4-part plan to help you run for the rest of your life. The single most important rule is start slow. The cliche, no pain, no gain, does not apply here. The best way to think of it is slow and steady. And actually, if you have never ran in your life before, no matter what age you are, you should begin with the walk, run, and walk method. It is exactly what it sounds like. You do alternating intervals of walking and then running and then walking again, and building this up gradually over time. This allows your body, your lungs, your muscles, and your joints to adapt gradually to this sudden increase in impact and in aerobic activity without increasing the risk of injury and pain flare-ups. So perfect for those people who are currently suffering from some sort of knee pain or joint pain, or even those who are over 50 and are a bit intimidated at the thought of having to do this. A great place to start is simple. A 5-minute pacey walk where you're really starting to increase the steps that you're taking, followed by just a 30-second to 1-minute run, and then another 5 minutes of walking briskly, and then repeating that 5 or 6 times. And when you start running, you don't need to be running too fast. All you're really looking for is that you're having one foot on the ground completely. That's the difference between walking and running, is that running is a single leg activity. So you put all of your weight on one foot and then the other. It's a slow run, a leisurely pace, but enough to get you out of breath. The goal here is consistency, not speed. My second tip is that if you want to become a regular runner, you need to build strength in your muscles. This is your best defense against injury, no matter what age you are. Most running injuries are caused by weaknesses in the running muscles, not running form, not bad shoes, nothing like that. It's just a clear weakness and a lack of training and respect for running. Think of it like this. Your muscles are your shock absorbers. They help to reduce the weight of the impact of each stride and step on your joints. So therefore, if they aren't strong enough, that force can go straight into your joints, and that's where we can start to get knee joint pain. You do not need to become a bodybuilder. Building strength is so easy. Actually, if you're new to building strength as well, you only really need to be doing one strength session per week. But just make sure that you are actually building strength and that you are doing the right exercises. Glutes, hamstrings, and quads. These are the main movements. Think squat, bridges, and deadlifts. You start with just body weight movements once a week, and you can add additional weights like dumbbells and barbells. And then eventually what you want to get onto is doing single leg versions of these exercises, a split squat, a single leg bridge, and a single leg deadlift, or a single leg Romanian deadlift. Why? Because running is a single leg activity. So you want to build the strength that matches that on one leg with your full body weight. And the best way to do this is to use something called the RPE scale that we will modify for doing strength exercises. So in this scale, 10 is the maximum weight that you can do for one exercise. Imagine a squat with 100 kilos on it. You could only do one. 0 represents it's easy. There's no challenge to it whatsoever. What you're looking for is somewhere in between 7 and 9. It's said that 7 means that after you did 5 repetitions, you could do another 3 more of good reps if you had to. And 9 means that if you had to, you could do another additional rep. This means that you're in an optimal zone for building muscular strength without pushing too much. And if you can get to that RPE, you only need to do 5 reps of 5 per exercise. So we said a glute exercise, a quad exercise, and a hamstring exercise. For example, there's 3 exercises, 5 times 5 each, 1 day per week. Easy. And the next thing is, as we get older, or if we're suffering from pain, our body is a little bit slower in the recovery process after exercise. This is just a biological reality that we need to respect. Our body develops during those rest days when we feel like we want to sit down because our muscles are tired. That is good. Our body is working its magic and we need to respect that. So scheduling rest days is super important. When you begin, you should only be running 1 to maximum 3 days per week, no more than this, with one strength session. And you also need to learn to distinguish between what is an appropriate amount of pain and what is maybe too much pain. Is it sharp? Is it joint pain? And a good way of using this is using the pain scale. So this is scaled from 0 to 10. 10 is maximum pain, 0 is no pain at all. A range from about 1 to 4 is considered safe and normal, most likely just DOMS or an achy muscle developing itself. Anything above a 5 or more is usually more maybe some joint pain or an aggravation of an existing injury and an indication that you need to slow down a little bit. And after you finish your running, make sure you do a good warm down. For me, the best warm down is an active one. You have been running and moving your body. So instead of stretching, you should be doing an active warm down, which I like to call silly walks. Just think of marching your knees up and down, bringing your knees up to your chest, straightening your knee, and then bringing your heel to the floor almost marching in a good extension, doing that for a few minutes is as good a warm down as you will get. And when you're finished and when you get back to the house, make sure you drink plenty of water. You need to replenish your body after doing that. Drink 4-5 cups of water and make sure you get as much protein as you can in your meal after running, whether that's a lunchtime meal or an evening meal. Think at least 20 grams of protein. Greek yogurt, chicken, beans, whatever. This is so important for helping your muscles repair. This is what they need. They need protein. And finally, just a mental shift. Your goal here for running is consistency and enjoyment. We're not really thinking about distance or speed or anything like that. We're doing this recreationally for the benefit of our body and our life in the long term. A good run is just when you show up and try a run. It feels you energized but not demoralized, not defeated. Find ways to make it fun and interesting. You can listen to a podcast, listen to some music, find some nice trails in and around where you live, have nothing and just take in the sights around you. The more you associate running with pleasure and something that is good for you and beneficial for you, the more you're likely to stick with it. The best thing to do really is finding some sort of plan that you can work towards, some sort of beginner to 5K protocol that you build up over several months. This way you get to take the guesswork out of it and you can try and achieve a goal. And actually, if you would like to subscribe to the Natural Painkiller newsletter, which the link is down below, this week I am going to release that, a complete guide from how to go from nothing to up to 5K, specifically for people over the age of 50 and those suffering from knee pain. Plus, everyone who subscribes to the newsletter gets my lovely Simple Health poster absolutely free, telling you how to exercise and what to eat. And that is everything that you need to know about running. We have busted the myth that running is bad for our joints. We have shown you that the science says it actually protects your joints, actually reduces inflammation in your joints. And we know that it is actually good for our brain. It boosts our brain activity. It makes our brain more active and helps us age well, helps us live better, helps us feel better, and helps us think better. And most importantly, you now have a simple 4-step guide that you can follow to start running today. Embrace this run walk method if you're starting from zero. Slow and steady wins the race. Commit to doing 1 day a week of strength exercises. Prioritize your recovery, drink lots of water, think about consuming protein and shifting your mindset. The person you were yesterday does not define you. The road ahead is waiting for you. And now I want to hear from you guys. What is that one fear or belief that has been holding you back when it comes to running? Let me know in the comments below and I will do my best to help you. Thank you so much and I'll see you in the next one.